Are you pleased with these pictures? Are these the impressions you wish to make? Do these portraits represent who you are? Be careful of these questions. They may require you to think. Thinking is hard. Making value judgments is difficult. It places you at pure creation because there are so many times you'll have to say, I don't know, I just don't know. Yet still, you'll have to decide. And so you'll have to choose. You'll have to make an arbitrary choice. Such a choice, a decision coming from no previous personal knowledge is called pure creation. And the individual is aware, deeply aware that in the making of such decisions is the self created. Most of you are not interested in such important work. Most of you would rather leave that to others. And so most of you are not self-created, but creatures of habit, other created creatures. Then when others have told you how you should feel and it runs directly counter to how you do feel, you experience a deep inner conflict. Something deep inside you tells you that what others have told you is not who you are. Now, where to go with that? What to do? The first place you go to is your religionists, the people who put you there in the first place. You go to your priests and your rabbis and your ministers and your teachers, and they tell you to stop listening to yourself. The worst of them will try to scare you away from it, scare you away from what you intuitively know. They'll tell you about the devil, about Satan, about demons and evil spirits, and hell and damnation, and every frightening thing they can think of to get you to see how what you were intuitively knowing and feeling was wrong, and how the only place you'll find any comfort is in their thought, their idea, their theology, their definitions of right and wrong, and their concept of who you are. The seduction here is that you have to do, all you have to do to get instant approval is to agree. Agree, and you have instant approval. Some will even sing and shout and dance and wave their arms in hallelujah. That's hard to resist such approval, such rejoicing that you have seen the light, that you've been saved. Approvals and demonstrations seldom accompany inner decisions. Celebrations rarely surround choices to follow personal truth. In fact, quite the contrary, not only many others fail to celebrate, they may actually subject you to ridicule. What? You're thinking for yourself? You're deciding on your own? You're applying your own yardstick, your own judgments, your own values? Who do you think you are anyway? And indeed, that is precisely the question you are answering. But the work must be done very much alone, very much without reward, without approval, perhaps without even any notice. And so you ask a very good question. Why go on? Why even start off on such a path? What is to be gained from embarking on such a journey? Where is the incentive? What is the reason? The reason is ridiculously simple. There is nothing else to do. What do you mean? I mean that this is the only game in town. There is nothing else to do. In fact, there is nothing else you can do. You are going to be doing what you are doing for the rest of your life. just as you have been doing it since birth. The only question is whether you will be doing it consciously or unconsciously. You see, you cannot disembark from the journey. You embarked before you were born. Your birth is simply a sign that the journey has begun. So the question is not why start off on such a path. You have already started off. You did so with the first beat of your heart. The question is, do I wish to walk this path consciously or unconsciously, with awareness or lack of awareness, as the cause of my experience or the effect of it? For most of your life, you've lived at the effect of your experiences. Now you're invited to be the cause of them. This is what is known as conscious living. This is what is called walking in awareness. Now, many of you have walked quite some distance, as I have said. You have made no small progress. So you should not feel after all these lives, you only come to this. Some of you are highly evolved creatures with a very sure sense of self. You know who you are and you know what you'd like to become. Furthermore, you even know the way to get from here to there. That's a great sign. That's a sure indication of what? Of the fact that you now have a very few lives left. You know, it's said a lot of times because हर एक बंदे के अंदर ना एक intuition होती है, what we also call as gut feel. And in a lot of cases, some have a very profound gut feel, some have a decent gut feel, but yeah, it's there with everybody. And we've had experiences where we've got this, kind of a message, kind of a signal that this should be good or this should be bad. And when we've actually pursued it, and if it was good, it actually turned out to be good. And even if it was bad and if we pursued it, it actually turned out to be bad, not the desirable way. Now, how this happens and how religions actually try to disempower the individual on this journey is all because of a lot of vested interests. And believe you me, religion in India in the last few hundred years have been to to an extent responsible for the current state of where the country is. All religions, I am not saying one religion, I'm talking about all religions. Majority of the religions are, run for a vested interest of making money. And that's a fact. और उस चीज में, in order to empower the individual, making money is not bad. Taking money for a good cause is not bad. But if you are taking the money and then instead of empowering the individual, you're trying to control the other person. And especially, all these religion people and priests, saints, sadhu, whatever, they have this, nice AK-47 fear gun of God, fear of God. अगर ये नहीं करेगा तो भगवान नाराज हो जाएगा. हेलो, किसी ने देखा है भगवान को? कहाँ से नाराज होता है वो? It's nothing but exploitation of your fears. If I'm walking with fears on my face, anybody can read your face, and if he wants, and if he's in that position to exploit, and wants to exploit it for your vested interest will exploit it. There is no doubt about it. कोई नहीं छोड़ेगा, especially these religious peoples. So what God is actually trying to tell you is follow your intuition, because that is a sign from your spirit guides, from your guardian angels, and from God. Very interesting fact. जो gut होता है, that's part of the stomach. Okay, so in terms of chakras, that is solar plexus, जो हमारा stomach area होता है, above the navel, below the heart, above the navel. That's where the stomach is, that's where the gut is. And that chakra is actually the reservoir of all emotions. So वहीं पे love है, वहीं पे anger है, वहीं पे fear है, वहीं पे resentment है, वहां सब emotions फंसे हुए हैं. और जब हम उस गट फील से अपने आप को इवॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं, वो जो वहां पे फियर्स हैं, एंगर्स है, रिजेंटमेंट्स है, वही हमें पकड़ लेती है. So it's very closely, closely addressed in your own body. I mean, they're like neighbors. So the fear we have and the intuition gut feel we can get, they have probably neighbors in our own stomach. इसलिए जब हम वो फेयर में भी जाते हैं तो गट फील फेयर में भी आती है, ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं आती है, वो आती है. बट अब ये तो हमारे ऊपर डिपेंड करता है ना, हम किसको अटेंशन दे रहे हैं और किसको इम्पोर्टेंस दे रहे हैं. अगर हम उस फेयर को इम्पोर्टेंस दे रहे हैं, उस एंगर को इम्पोर्टेंस दे रहे हैं, दैट विल ग्रो. बट इफ वी गिव आवर अटेंशन, इफ वी गिव आवर aware, time and thought to the gut feel, that will grow. Because whatever is it in life that you give your attention to, that grows. Be it fear, be it anger, be it love, be it intuition. That choice is always with us. And in the past, the religions have, conspired so much against this just to disempower the individual rather than empowering the individual, which is where I also on a personal level feel that, it is not important to follow God, but it is important to be, in the space of that godliness. Because जहां आप God करते हो, कहीं ना कहीं आपका association एक religion के साथ हो जाता है. But when you talk about that true virtue or that true characteristic of being godliness, that is pure. And that is pure God at play, pure consciousness at play. Then there is no religion. Because what we are here for is to know who we truly are. और अगर हम ये सोच रहे हैं ना कि ये जर्नी हम कब शुरू कर रहे हैं, जर्नी ऑलरेडी शुरू हो चुकी है. It started with your birth here. And that journey is going to continue till the death of this body and the death of this mind. But in that journey from B to D, what is left is that C. And that choice of being conscious, of conscious living, being consciously aware, that's with you. That's the choice we have. जर्नी तो शुरू हो चुकी है और ये तभी खत्म होगी जब when the soul will exit this body and the mind. Till that time the journey is on. And this journey has been on for so many lifetimes. This is just one of it. But अगर हमें इस lifetime में भी, अगर whatever age we are and wherever we are, if we are listening to this, that means this knowledge was meant to come to us, that we are here to know who we truly are and to make that choice consciously, not unconsciously. And when we talk about being conscious, we are conscious of what is happening. Remember the first time you started driving a car, you were conscious. And what was the benefit of that being conscious? You were alert all the time. गाड़ी आ रही है, नहीं आ रही है, जा रही है, नहीं जा रही है. You practiced it. And then you perfected it. आज अगर आप कोई भी who's been driving for more than 4-5 years plus does not do conscious driving, because हमने वो चीज प्रैक्टिस कर ली है और अब हमें उसकी आदत पड़ गई है. गियर चेंज हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा. I remember when I learned driving ना, I thought probably it's a maths thing, okay? So घर पे अगर मुझे टर्न करना है तो स्टेयरिंग के 1.5 राउंड लेने हैं कि 2 राउंड लेने हैं, मैं ये भी देखता था. I thought probably that is how I'm going to get it. But yeah, that was the initial stage. But once we practiced it, now when we are driving unconsciously. But हमने वो stage of unconscious consciously करी है. So even in life, we need to be consciously aware of our choices and then practice it so that living consciously becomes unconscious. That is living the unconscious. But it starts with conscious choice, conscious living, be consciously aware of your options, and then practicing so that practice makes it, part of who we are. And that is when we realize, and that is in this journey, we'll get to the fact who we truly are. That is the self-realization. Who God is the God realization. And that is that oneness of life. Is that good? Is it now for you? And that is so because you said it so. Not long ago, all you wanted to do was stay here. Now, all you want to do is leave. That's a very good sign. Not long ago, you killed things, bugs, plants, trees, animals, people. Now you cannot kill a thing without knowing exactly what you're doing and why. That's a very good sign. Not long ago, you lived as though it had no purpose. Now you know it has no purpose, save the one you give it. That's a very good sign. Not long ago, you begged the universe to bring you truth. Now you tell the universe your truth. And that's a very good sign. Not long ago, you sought to be rich and famous. Now you seek to simply and wonderfully yourself. And not so very long ago, you feared me. Now you love me enough to call me your equal. All of these are very, very good signs. Well, gosh, you make me feel good. You should feel good. Anybody who uses gosh in a sentence can't be all bad. You really do have a sense of humor, don't you? I invented humor. Yes, you've made that point. Okay, so the reason for going on is that there's nothing else to do. This is what's happening here, precisely. Then may I ask, does it at least get any easier? Oh, my darling friend, it is so much easier for you now than it was 3 lifetimes ago. I can't even tell you. Yes, it does get easier. The more you remember, the more you are able to experience, the more you know, so to speak, and the more you know, the more you remember. It is a circle. So yes, it gets easier, it gets better, it becomes even more joyful. But remember, none of it has been exactly a drudge. I mean, you loved all of it, every last minute. Oh, it's delicious. This thing called life, it's a scrumptious experience. No. Well, yes, I suppose. You suppose. How much more scrumptious could I have made it? Are you not being allowed to experience everything? The tears, the joy, the pain, the gladness, the exhalation, the massive depression, the win, the lose, the draw. What more is there? A little less pain, perhaps? Less pain without more wisdom defeats your purpose, does not allow you to experience infinite joy, which is what I am. Be patient. You are gaining wisdom, and your joys are now increasingly available without pain. And that too is a very good sign. You are learning. Remember how to love without pain, to let go without pain, to create without pain, to even cry without pain. Yes, you are even able to have your pain without pain, if you know what I mean. I think I do. I am enjoying even my own life dramas more. I can stand back and see them for what they are, even laugh. Exactly. And you don't call this growth? I suppose I do. And so then keep on growing, my son. Keep on becoming and keep on deciding what you want to become in the next highest version of yourself. Keep on working towards that. Keep on, keep on. This is God work we are up to, you and I, so keep on. Chapter 10, I love you. You know that. I know you do, and I love you. So हम यहाँ पे, when God clearly said, it's all about experiences. Because, on planet Earth, as a soul, we are here to experience a particular lesson and gain the wisdom out of it, because that wisdom is required for us to take back when we go back to where we came from, the metaphysics. But since Earth is a planet of duality, a planet of relativeness, so in order to experience what is bad, we need to know what is good. And in order to experience the good, we need to know what is bad. So good, bad, pain, pleasure are part and parcel of the same coin. So अगर pain है तो हमें pleasure का पता है, pleasure है तो हमें pain का पता है. It's not that it's different. It's, interlinked. But who we are in this lifetime is a much more evolved being than we were in our previous lifetimes. Yeah, if we go back into history, let's say Indian history, 200, 300, 75 years to independence go. So before that, the Britishers were here for 200 years. What is it, the history that we know of? That the, Mughals came, invaded India, Britishers came, invaded India, sare paise le gaye, they did this, they did that. So you see, and and it's there in all the history books, that there has been a lot of violence in our immediate history. I'm talking 400, 500 years back. We've read it. We've seen movies. It was part of our curriculum when we were growing up. So that's the history we are all coming from. So even if we are in this life, born say after 1960, 70, 80, or say 1900s, that means there has been definitely a life prior to the 1900s. What was there? It was utter violence. And that was the time of the planet where, there was so much of this violence everywhere, animosity everywhere, that yes, there have been very, very tragic cases in our past lives. For sure. Because पूरी हिस्ट्री बता रही है कि पिछले हजार क्या है हिस्ट्री में, हम क्या पढ़ते हैं हिस्ट्री में? लड़ाई हुई थी, इस राजा ने इसको मार दिया, इसने ये कॉन्स्पिरेसी की, इसने इसको ऐसे पकड़ा. What's there? I mean, honestly speaking, on a very personal note, I feel history is all negative or facts. There's nothing positive in it. उसको ढूंढने के लिए बड़ा पॉजिटिव करना पड़ता है ना। एक टीपू सुल्तान ने एक बंदे ने 1000 बंदे के साथ लड़ाई की, व्हाट अ मैन ऑफ वैलोर एंड एवरीथिंग, but otherwise if we see it was a lot of negativity, and that's where we are all coming from. So where we are actually truly blessed कि अगर हम पीछे वो अंग्रेजों की लड़ाइयों में होते, डेफिनेटली थे, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं थे, we would have been definitely been there, and that's the past we are coming from. So now in this age we have this option of learning, of growing, you know, this knowledge, this awareness is available to us. It's a blessed life. हम यहाँ जिस पर्पस के लिए आए हैं, you know, the main purpose of the soul is to gain certain wisdoms and then eventually go back home, because life is not permanent. It starts with birth and ends with death. That's the life on planet Earth. And it's an evident fact which happens with everybody, which will happen with everybody. Nobody is eternal. In terms of the body, in terms of the mind. Yes, the soul stays, the soul comes back, takes a rebirth, reincarnate, and that's there. But इस journey में अगर आज हम जहाँ हैं, and we have this, we are privileged beings of, you know, getting our hands on good books, on such amazing knowledge. We don't know whether this information was available to us in our past lives. And even if it was, if it's again available, that is a blessing in itself. Because ये awareness आज आई है, 10 साल पहले नहीं थी. For example, if I talk about my personal self, 2 साल पहले भी नहीं थी. But yes, now I feel we are blessed with all this knowledge, with all this, you know, awareness coming in about all these things. Why are we here? What are we here? And everything is part of a game plan. You know, we are just actors acting our roles. You go and watch a movie and you see people acting the roles. And if the villain kills the main lead's mother, or, you know, behaves badly with the main lead's sister, is it the actor's fault? No, it's the director at play. हम एक्टर को पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं, नहीं नहीं इसने ऐसे किया, इसने ऐसे किया, no no he has done this, he has done this. He has done this because the director has told him. And that's all that is happening in the world right now. We are all acting a particular roles given to us. Nothing more, nothing less. But अगर हम उस role को समझें, and then we give that director the true respect, the true value, and just act. If that says for us to do this, we do this. If that says that in order to do this, we will experience some pain, some hardships, okay. If that says whether we do this and we will experience some pleasures, some gains, okay. Because who we are is just an actor. Nothing more, nothing less. And what is happening, what is going around is all a movie which is being directed by somebody. And that director is who we really need to trust, is who we really need to have faith, surrender, and get back to who he was after this movie is over. So that when we go back after the shooting is done, after the life is over, that we can realize and appreciate whatever role that was given to us during this entire play and yes, pat ourselves on our back that we did a good job. That's exactly why we are here. और हम इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेशंस में अपने आप को डालते हैं, देखो मैंने ये कर दिया, मैंने वो कर दिया। हर एक चीज वो डायरेक्टर कर रहा है, वो कहते हैं ना, उसकी मर्जी से तो पत्ता भी नहीं हिलता। और हम लोग, वी गेट ऑन टू दिस ईगो ट्रिप, आई हैव डन दिस, आई डू सो मच, दिस इज दैट। हेलो, if the director wants you out of the movie, you will be out the next second. Do you have that power? Do you have that control to stay in this movie for as long as you want it? No. So till the time we are playing this role, let's make the best of it and have that trust and faith in that director who's got us all these actors and to play these roles, and whatever knowledge and whatever material is being available to us to study in order to perform better as an actor, that is where we need to focus. Because as an actor you need to be consciously aware, मेरे को क्या act करना है. Because in a movie shooting also, if the actor does not perform the way the director wants, the director always gives an option, cut, दोबारा से. बट लाइफ में वो दोबारा से नहीं होता, बट वो सेम सिचुएशन फिर से घूम के आती है. और दैट इज हाउ इट कीप्स रिपीटिंग एज अ पैटर्न. Because till the time we do not get it right, till the time we do not get the lesson, the director is always going to cut that scene so that you get a retake again in a different experience for that same lesson you are here. Chapter 11. I'd like to get back to my list of questions. There is so much more detail I want to go into on every one of these. We could do a whole book on relationships alone, and I know that, but then I'd never get to my other questions. There'll be other times, other places, even other books. I'm with you. Let's move on. We'll come back to it here if we have time. Okay, my next question then. Why can't I even seem to attract enough money in my life? Am I destined to be forever scrimping and scraping? What is blocking me from realizing my potential regarding money? The condition is manifested not just by you, but by a great many people. Everyone tells me it's a problem of self-worth, a lack of self-worth. I have had a dozen new age teachers tell me that lack of anything is always traceable to lack of self-worth. That is a convenient simplification. In this case, your teachers are wrong. You do not suffer from a lack of self-worth. Indeed, your greatest challenge all your life has been to control your ego. Some have said it's been a case of too much self-worth. Well, here I am, embarrassed and charged again, but you are right. You keep saying you are embarrassed and charged every time I simply tell the truth about you. Embarrassment is the response of a person who still has an ego investment in how others see him. Invite yourself to move past that. Try a new response. Try laughter. Okay. Self-worth is not your problem. You are blessed with an abundance of it. Most people are. You all think very highly of yourself, as rightly you should. So, self worth for the great mass of the people is not the problem. What is? The problem is lack of understanding of the principles of abundance together, usually with a massive misjudgment about what is good and what is evil. Let me give you an example. Please do. You carry a thought around that money is bad. You also carry a thought around that God is good. Bless you. Therefore, in your thought system, God and money do not mix. Well, in a sense, I guess that's true. That is how I think. This makes things interesting because this then makes it difficult for you to take money for any good thing. I mean, if a thing is being judged as very good by you, you value it less in terms of money. So the better something is, that is the more worthwhile, the less money it's worth. You're not alone in this. Your whole society believes this. So your teachers make a pittance and your strip teasers a fortune. Your leaders make so little compared to sport figures that they feel they have to steal to make up the difference. Your priests and your rabbis live on bread and water while you throw coins at entertainers. Think about it. Everything on which you place a high intrinsic value, you insist must come cheaply. The lonely research scientist seeking a cure for AIDS goes begging for money, while the money who writes a book on 100 new ways to have sex and creates tapes and weekend seminars to go with it makes a fortune. This having it all backwards is a propensity with you, and it stems from wrong thought. The wrong thought is your idea about money. You love it, and yet you say it is the root of all evil. You adore it, and yet you call it filthy lucre. You say that the person is filthy rich, and if a person does become wealthy doing good things, you immediately become suspect. You make that wrong. So a doctor had better not make too much money or had better learn to be discreet about it. And a minister who she'd really better not make lots of money, assuming you'll even let she be a minister, or there'll surely be trouble. You see, in your mind, a person who chooses the highest calling should get the lowest. Yes, is right. You should think about that because it is such wrong thought. I thought there were no such thing as wrong or right. There isn't. There is only what serves you and what does not. The term right and wrong are relative terms, and I use them that way when I use them at all. In this case, relative to what serves you, relative to what you say you want, your money, thoughts are wrong thoughts. Remember, thoughts are creative. So if you think money is bad, yet think yourself good, well, you can see the conflict. Now, you in particular, my son, act out this race consciousness in a very big way. For most people, the conflict is not nearly so enormous as for you. Most people do what they hate for living, so they don't mind taking money for it. Bad for the bad, so to speak, but you love what you do with the days and times of your life. You adore the activities with which you cram them. For you, therefore, to receive large amounts of money for what you would be in your thought system, taking bad for the good, and that is unacceptable to you. You'd rather starve than take 50 lucre for pure service, as if somehow the service loses its purity if you take money for it. So here we have this real ambivalence about money. Part of you rejects it, and part of you resents not having it. Now, the universe doesn't know what to do about that because the universe has received two different thoughts from you. So, your life with regard to money is going to go in fits and starts because you keep going in fits and starts about money. You don't have a clear focus. You are not really sure what's true for you. And the universe is just a big Xerox machine. It simply produces multiple copies of your thoughts. Now, there's only one way to change all that. You have to change your thought about it. So, when we are talking about any kind of a thought, like he's clearly mentioned that we're talking about thoughts about money. So the money in your life is directly proportional as to the notions of what you have in your mind about money. And those notions are part of your belief systems, part of your upbringing, part of your conditioning, and part of your programming. In anything that is happening to you, जो भी चीज है, it is very important to get to that belief कि ये कहाँ से आ रहा है. For example, if you're talking about money here, I mean, I still remember that I was told that making money is not that easy. You have to work very hard. I think I've shared this example earlier. सबसे ज्यादा हार्ड वर्क ना वो डेली वेजेस वाला करता है, जो माल को मटेरियल लोडिंग अनलोडिंग करता है, बोरियां इधर से उधर करता है. Nobody does more hard and laborious work than that guy. But do you think that belief works for him? By working hard, you'll make more money. He barely makes enough to survive and take care of his basic needs of food for him as well as his family. And who do you think makes the most money? The guy sitting in a 5-star or a Porsche office with cars and people lined up working for him and just making smart decisions. Not necessarily a hard worker. Some can be hard workers, but not necessary. It cannot say that if you work hard, you'll make a lot of money. So in order to earn money, working hard can be or cannot be, because there are a lot of cases where we know and we've seen that by working hard, it's not necessary that you will earn money. If you buy a lottery ticket and you get, say, 1 crore, 5 crore, 10 crores, did you work hard for that money? No. You just bought a lottery ticket, a random thing, luck, clicked, whatever clicked, you got it. So will that belief hold value to that person who's just won a lottery of 10 crores? I worked very hard, yaar. पता कितनी मेहनत लगी थी वो लॉटरी टिकट खरीदने में? No. So that is part of our own belief system. So what is it in your life that you feel is slightly not working the way you want it to be? Just go back and check, what is my belief? मेरे अपब्रिंगिंग में या मेरे उसमें ऐसा कौन सा बिलीफ है जिससे आज जहां मैं हूं वो चीज आ रही है? बिकॉज आई एक्चुअली वर्कड विद, आई वाज अटेंडिंग अ 3-day workshop on law of attraction with money blueprint or something. So we had to actually, there was an exercise where we had to actually write down all the beliefs which was there prevalent in the mind regarding money, and then work with all belief, and then get rid of them. In fact, I remember first book we did magic, we had a very nice limiting belief exercise where whatever is your belief that is not working for you, you write that down and then you work with those beliefs so that you are able to cancel that from your belief system. I might have a video I'll share. Very funny, very hilarious. But yeah, it works. Because ultimately, wo belief hamara hai. Part of our upbringing, part of our programming, part of our conditioning. But if that is stopping us, then it is high time we need to get rid of it. Because then that belief, which was supposed to empower us, becomes a belief which is actually limiting us, that is limiting our potential for us to go ahead. और वो हमें नहीं चाहिए. हमें वो beliefs चाहिए जो हमें empower करे. In fact, everything that we do, we need to make that choice. Is it empowering me or is it disempowering me? And it's very important. चाहे एक कोई रिलेशनशिप की भी अगर हम बात करें और या कोई experience, situation, event, circumstances or person, it's very important to get to know whether this is empowering you or disempowering you. And if it is disempowering you, then you need to actually work on yourself on what is that particular belief of mine, that this is actually disempowering me, because it is actually supposed to empower me. Because when, so how it goes, if you go to a place of God, which is pure high vibrations at play, but still you get bogged down by that priest or whatever he says or how he, uses that weapon of fear, वो आपके belief को hit कर रहा है. वो belief आपका fear का है. जगह में कुछ नहीं है, बंदे में कुछ नहीं है. Because what is inside is what people are going to exploit, or that is what the people are going to make use. वो है हमारे अंदर ही, तो हमें पहले उसी को ठीक करना है. Because what is outside, they can just see, what is outside to them. But as an individual, where we are talking about being empowered and not being disempowered, we need to actually work with ourselves, that where is it that is coming from, what belief is this coming from, that is, the entire situation, person, circumstance or event is disempowering me rather than empowering me. Because that choice is with us. And it always is.